Attorney General Merrick Garland today explaining that 150 misdemeanor cases have already been resolved related to people who took part in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Those have already been resolved with defendants pleading guilty. He said 17 felony defendants are already scheduled for trial. More than 300 other people are today stand indicted on felony charges. And he's laying all that out, as you just heard there, to make the case that small fry defendants always go first. That's on purpose. People who did worse crimes, less overtly obvious crimes, they come later, in part because the easier to prosecute stuff often provides evidence that you can use in other cases. Helpful. But still, the basic question remains. Is he only talking about crimes that were physically committed at the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th between the hours of 2 p.m. and dinner time that day, a year ago tomorrow? Or does this investigation include, is there a criminal investigation into those who hatched the overall plot? Not the plot to break windows and smear poop on the walls, the plot to stop the electoral count and keep Trump in power, because that's what all the January 6th folks were doing in Washington. They believed they were part of a larger plot, and indeed they were. And lots of people are happily confessing now to having been part of that larger plot or to witnessing it. When the president tried to enlist them in it, what B.J. Pack saw them try to do in Georgia, what Peter Navarro is happily confessing to live on MSNBC on a Tuesday night, what Trump and his colleagues did to try to get the mob to D.C. on January 6th in the first place, because January 6th was the counting of the electoral votes, and they needed to stop that count so the electors could be switched in the states, which was the rest of the plan. What about that rest of the plan? Was that cool? Getting Republican state legislatures whatever gossamer or false pretext they needed to throw out election results and instead replace them with, we're just going to say Trump won. Because that was a real plan, and we know a lot more about that plan today than we did a year ago. Did Attorney General Merrick Garland today let the country know if that other part of it was okay? We know they're prosecuting people who broke windows and did bad stuff in the Capitol. Did he let the country know today whether the rest of it, the rest of the plot to overthrow the U.S. government was all right, and anybody who did that is free to try again? And I am phrasing this as a question because I honestly don't know. What do you take away from how he said this today?
As judges have sentenced the first defendants convicted of assaults and related violent conduct against officers, we have seen significant sentences that reflect the seriousness of those offenses, both in terms of the injuries they caused and the serious risk they posed to our democratic institutions. The actions we have taken thus far will not be our last. The Justice Department remains committed to holding all January 6 perpetrators at any level accountable under law, whether they were present that day or were otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy. We will follow the facts wherever they lead.
The Justice Department remains committed to holding all January 6th perpetrators at any level accountable under law, whether they were present that day or were otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy. Otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy. People who are otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on the Capitol, January 6th? Or does he mean people who are otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy, as in the assault on the election and its results, the effort to falsify those results and thereby seize power? I don't know. I don't know what he means.